Hi, I'm Jenny from Your Yogi. Today, for our ab session, you will need either 2 foam blocks, or if you don't have that, you can have 2 books. You can see I've got some interesting reading going on there. We're going to warm up the spine to start with. So come into a 4-point position, bringing your wrists directly underneath your shoulders and your knees directly underneath your hips, spreading your fingers really wide and pressing through the tops of your feet. So taking an in-breath to drop the belly and lift the chest into our cow position, and then exhaling to lift up through the rib cage, tucking chin to chest into this cow position, into this cat position. Notice as we're moving through the spine, we're warming it up. But we're also really looking at starting to initiate the abdominal muscles. So really focus when you drop the belly, really think about lifting the belly button in towards spine. Moving the spine in all directions. So using the breath in through the nose, out through the nose, tipping through the hips. Again, keeping the belly and the rib cage lifted. Keeping the weight pushing through the hands. And now just moving the spine, freestyling in any position that you'd like to do. And this really is like dance like no one's watching. Yoga like no one's watching. And really, if you're like me, you're in your bedroom on your own. No one really is watching. So feel free to do what feels good for you today. Keeping your knees directly underneath your hips. You can see we're getting a bit of shoulder movement in there as well. So remembering that the abs really, they're expanding all the way from the chest and beyond, all the way down to the pelvis. So it's not just the trunk, it's not just the bits that you see. Finding that neutral spine, so lifting the belly in now, and then right foot pushing back and just rocking the weight forward and backwards into the ball of the foot. Finding that even keel in each of the hands, and then lifting up into modified 4-point position, or superwoman we'll call it today. Left arm lifts out, right leg extends. And now take an exhale and take the arms out to the diagonal. Inhale brings the arm and the foot back to center. Exhale takes the leg and the arm out. Keep that thumb turning up on the hand so that you can drop the shoulder and find more length through the arm. No tension going through that right arm at all. Good. Exhaling here to drop the foot behind, square the shoulders once more. And then drop down into the left hip as you turn the right hip up towards the sky. And you should get a lovely stretch down the side of your back. Any of you guys that sit down a lot during your day, this is going to be a really nice release for you. And really nice to do straight after we've just done some ab work. Taking a few breaths in Balasana now, child's pose. Again, if you're starting out with these exercises, sometimes we can find that we do tend to hold our breaths. So taking a bit of a moment out in Balasana in a less challenging pose can really help us to tap back into the breath again. Left leg extends out now. Pushing through the ball of the foot. And just finding that weight distribution as you shift the weight forward, noticing what happens to the belly as you shift forward over the hands. When you find you've got your balance, extend the left leg out and extend the right arm out. Thumb up to the sky as if you're ready to shake my hand. And if you want to, just place your hands onto your abs, onto your rib cage, just to ensure that it stays lifted so you haven't dropped down into the belly and the lower back. Using this time now to take the breath to extend the arms out and the leg out to 45 and then back in line with the shoulder and the hip once more. So inhaling to open and exhaling to release. When we release, that foot comes behind, push through the ball of the foot. And this time we're dropping down into the left hip. Try and square the shoulders so that your upper body doesn't move as well. Use this time to release through the back. And you might get a stretch down the side of the hip as well, all the way down to the ankle, depending on where your muscles might be tight here. Release and come down to seated position. Moving on to our second exercise, we've got a couple of boat variations here, Navasana. So we're going to be using blocks for this as well. We're going to focus just on rounding and engaging first of all. So exhale and allow your body to sink back to round. Inhale to open. Notice how the back stays really long. Allow the shoulder blades to separate as you exhale, and allow the shoulder blades to squeeze together and the chest to lift. All of this is coming from the abdominals. Level 2 now, we can use the arms. So taking the arms out of the equation with the legs, making the belly having to work just that little bit harder. Good, bringing the arms up in line with the shoulders, squeezing the shoulder blades together and just lifting and lowering one leg at a time. So you notice here we're progressively making the exercises harder. I want you to stick with the option that feels good for you today. And over time of doing these videos, you'll find that you'll be able to go for a much more challenging option for longer. Good, so second option here, the legs lift and we hold. So this is our boat variation that we would do. And we're looking to just extend out through the legs. So a lot of quadricep engagement here. Front of the thighs are working hard. Pulling your belly back towards the spine and keep the chest lifted. Keep the breastbone lifted up to the sky. Good. Third option to hold. Remember, no holding of the breath on this. I know I look like I am. I think I need to smile a little bit on that. It's quite challenging. Lovely. Dead bug variations. Grab yourself a block. We're going on the thinnest level here to squeeze in between your thighs. This is going to help you keep thigh engagement and to help your abdominals to work a little bit harder. So you want your knees to align with the hips to start with on this. A lot of people will bring their knees closer in towards the chest. You can see there I'm extending my legs away from the chest. So when we extend the legs away, this is going to make it much harder to do. Good, using your breath. So inhaling when the legs are parallel and exhaling when you're tapping your toes. And you can do as many as you like on this. I'm going to do around 5 on each side. So keep the breath coming. Keep the tightness. So keep the belly button drawing down towards the floor. And we're moving to level 2 on this now. Both legs together. You can see here my knees and my upper thighs are staying really still. There's no movement here in the legs at all. Try and switch off the hips by drawing the pelvis down towards the floor. You might get a little bit of a burn in your thighs and the hips. Over time though, if you working your abdominals, this should ease off. Dragging your shoulder blades down in towards the mat. Taking it to level 3 here, grabbing the palm of the hands. We're not holding on to the block here. We're just pressing the block, palms of the hands. This allows us to push the shoulder blades into the floor. So inhaling to extend arms and legs overhead, exhaling to draw back in line with the shoulders. And we've got the options there if you want to, of just doing single toes at a time. You choose. Keep pulling your shoulder blades back into the mat. And as you draw the arms back in line with the shoulders or back in line with the chest, a little squeeze of the chest muscle to get those arms activated and get the muscles tense. Well done. Should be feeling that by now. Drawing the knees in towards the chest. Just rolling the knees round. Just taking the tips of the fingers onto the kneecaps and then allowing the knees just to open. So a little bit of tension through the arms on this. Changing direction, breathing in through nose, exhaling through mouth. So you're keeping the spine really long. Crossing the ankles here, a couple of roll-ups. So holding onto the outsides of the feet. If holding onto the outsides of the feet is a little bit of a struggle, you can take the backs of the hamstrings. Notice how I'm taking my legs right over my head here. So think about getting a beautiful stretch and think about rolling through the entirety of the spine rather than slapping the spine down onto the mat. Taking a little stretch into the hips, Baddha Konasana, butterfly pose, keeping the back really long, using the forearms to push down onto the knees. Closing the eyes. And just noticing how you're feeling. Just finishing with a few mobilizers for the back. So you can bring your foot in front of the other or you can come into half lotus. Take an exhale and reach over towards the right side. Inhale to lift, exhale to reach to the left. And again, don't worry about where you need to reach for. Just feel the length and feel the release, side of the waist and into the lower back. It's always nice to do some mobilizers at the end of an ab session. Lifting the chest, you can see we've got hands there, one in front, one behind. You can take it to the thigh if you prefer. Nice stable spine, inhaling to lift and extend, exhaling to find the rotation from the rib cage. Well done, guys. You've done really well today. Just take a breath in through the nose, out through the nose. Remember, practice this video regularly to get stronger in the core, which will really help with your yoga practice. Namaste.